What is up, awesome peeps? Brent McCluskey here, Electrified Reviews, and today we are reviewing the Ride1Up Limited City Bike. This thing is a fantastic value buy. It is packed with features, and we are actually giving it the 2020 Best City Bike of the Year because it is honestly that good. We are very excited to dive into the specs on this, but first, of course, let's roll the B-roll. All right, awesome peeps. Again, this is the Ride1Up Limited City Bike electric bike right here, and this thing starts for $1,795 USD, $1,795 USD. It is definitely on the expensive side. It's not super expensive, but honestly, it's not super affordable. But man, there's just I'm very excited to show you guys this bike because there's just a lot. There's a lot of good things about this bike. And honestly, the value on this is absurd. It's a really, really good value buy for what you're getting. And honestly, it's such a quality bike overall that we're awarding this the 2020 City Bike of the Year for under 1,800 bucks. Because the reality is if you're looking for a city bike, which is really what this thing is geared for, it's hard to find a better one for this price point because of the components on it and just the overall quality. Not to mention the fact that this does have a 30-day money-back guarantee, which is pretty unusual. Sometimes we'll find a 7-day money-back guarantee. Oftentimes, you just don't even have that at all. So that's a really nice little bonus. 30 days that's a month, man. You can buy this, and you're like, yeah, this is dope. And you're like, you know what? Maybe not. It's not for me, whatever. 30 days, that's a long time for a money-back guarantee. But if you do keep it, which you probably would end up doing, it also has a 1-year warranty, which is pretty comprehensive. It covers pretty much everything. Something goes wrong, something breaks, they'll send you a new part, they'll get it fixed up for you. That's good news. Now, one thing I definitely want to touch on before we dive into the specs on the Limited is assembly on this bike, because I think one of the ways that Ride1Up is really saving money for us, for the consumer at the end, is how they're shipping this. Assembly for this bike is pretty extensive. It's a lot more, it's not super difficult, but it's more time consuming and it takes a lot more effort than a lot of other e-bikes that come mostly assembled. This thing comes mostly disassembled. So I'm just gonna call out the things real quick that we had to assemble for this bike just to give you guys kind of an idea. So we had to put the forks into the head tube here. These were not assembled. We had to put the front tire on. We had to put the handlebars on. All these wires right here, these were not wrapped. So I had to wrap those wires myself. Not a big deal again, but just trying to call out every little thing we had to do. The front chainring was also not assembled, as well as the pedals here. We had to put those on, and the crank itself. The crank had to go into the shaft there. Put the chain on. And that's pretty much it. So it's not a ton of stuff, but it is a lot more than most of the other bikes that you get delivered to you. And again, I really think that's one of the ways that they're saving so much money. So anyways, you're saving money up front, but it takes more time to put this together before you can ride it. Or you might have to actually pay somebody to put it together for you, like a professional shop. So something to keep in mind as we're going through this review. So let's go ahead and dive into the specs here. We'll start at the back with this motor. This is going to be an MX US hub motor right here. 750 watts of nominal power, about 1,000 watts of peak power. There's the little label right there, MX US. And an impressive 100 Newton meters of torque. That brings us up to a top speed of 28 miles per hour. Right here you can reach that with the, well, I think for the throttle, it's supposed to be out of the box. It's supposed to be 20 miles per hour, limited to the throttle. And then you can do 28 miles per hour top speed with the pedal assist. And the pedal assist, one of the first and most kind of beautiful things about this bike, this is a torque sensing pedal assist, guys, which is fantastic. So torque sensors measure the actual pressure that you're placing on the cranks, on the pedal. So you can keep it in a high pedal assist level and you can barely pedal and you're only going to get maybe 100 watts of power. So basically it's just really amplifying your pedal stroke, and it makes it feel like the bike is working with you as opposed to for you, which is kind of the feeling that you get for the most part with cadence sensors, which have just like 100% on, 100% off. It's just like a switch, like a 1 and a 0, on and off, right? Torque sensors have all these degrees of on and off, right? It's like a quantum computer. There's these various states that it can be in. And it just makes for a really good ride, a really good feeling. And it's just really cool to see that, because you typically don't see it on bikes at this price point. They typically start at around 2 grand, 2,200. That's really where we've been seeing torque sensors. Or if we do see a torque sensor on a bike at this price point, that's kind of like the only big thing to talk about with this bike. With that bike. Now, with this bike, that's not the case, as you'll see. We'll just go ahead right here to the derailleur. Boom, look at this. Can you see? Shimano Alivio derailleur. That's a lot of upgrades from the entry-level Shimano tourney. And honestly, it's a little bit of overkill. You probably don't even need that nice of a derailleur for this bike, but I will tell you, it does feel great when you're riding, especially if you pedal it a lot compared to using the throttle. It really just feels good, man. The shifting on this is fantastic. It's an 8-speed cassette here, or sorry, it's an 8-gear cassette. Trigger shifter up here on the handlebars, which is great. I'm very happy that it's not a Shimano SIS index thumb shifter. That would be kind of frustrating given the overall quality of this bike. Nice trigger shifters, really nice derailleur. Just, I mean, impressive stuff so far. Really liking it. Now the battery on this, it's going to be a 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery. You can't upgrade the battery. This is all you got. So there's not a lot of options here as far as upgrade paths. There's kind of what you see is what you get as far as, the accessories and stuff. There are some accessories on the website you can get, but not a lot. Anyways, 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery right here in the down tube. You can see it sits nicely in the down tube. It's a custom frame. This is not like just bolted on. It actually sinks into the down tube there. It makes for a very streamlined look, helps reduce the footprint overall. Just makes it look clean, in my opinion. Max range on this is going to be about 45 miles in ideal conditions. So if you are in a low pedal assist mode, if you are pedaling, don't have a lot of hills, not a lot of headwind, sure, 45 miles, not a problem. Real world, you're going to get significantly less, maybe around half that, just depending on how you ride it. I've said it a million times, I'm going to say it again. It's just like cars, right? Like the miles per gallon on your Honda Civic, right? Freeway miles per gallon, they're like, you get 50 miles a gallon. Sure, yeah, but if you're in the city and you are starting and stopping, if you're flooring it a lot, whatever, you're going to get maybe 30 miles a gallon. So it just really depends on how you use it. I always want to put that as a caveat because, you could have one company that says a 14 amp hour battery is going to give you 100 miles. Another company says 14 amp hour battery is going to give you 40 miles. So the best way to judge range is by the specs. So again, 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery. That's what we got for this one right here. I don't want to say it's a small detail, but the tires here, these are not the entry-level kind of Kenda tires. We've actually got Schwalbe tires here on this bike. Oh, we got a friend as well. This is our new review partner. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so we got Schwalbe tires here, which is fantastic. These are just good quality tires. It's going to help reduce punctures, it's going to help reduce flats, and it's going to make the ride more enjoyable. And again, for city riding, if you're going to be putting a lot of miles on it, you want a good quality tire like this. For the brakes here, yet again, another really nice upgrade point. So we're going to have hydraulic disc brakes, front and rear, 180 millimeters. They're going to be Tektro Auriga hydraulic disc brakes. So these aren't just like, not only are they hydraulic disc brakes, but they're actually name brand Tektro, and they're nice. They're good. These are good, solid hydraulic disc brakes. Plenty of stopping power, which is really like, you want to see that on a bike that goes 28 miles per hour. You really want good brakes like this, so happy to see it. Now, these brakes also have motor inhibitors built in. So whenever I think they have motor inhibitors. Actually, maybe they don't. I'm going to leave that as a maybe. I thought they did, but I'm looking, I thought they cut out while I was testing this. But I don't see the cable coming out of it. It might be integrated, so I think probably it does have motor inhibitors built in, but maybe not. So I'm going to leave that there. But since they are hydraulic disc brake or hydraulic brakes here, the brake levers themselves, they can be adjusted. So what I mean by that is you can adjust the resting position of the brake. So like, let's say if you have smaller hands, you want the resting position to be here so it's easy to grab. You can change that. Or if you have really big hands and you want to let it out further, you can do that too. It gives you some flexibility, some leeway with how you want to set this up, which is really nice. It does have front suspension, RST front suspension here, air suspension as well, which is, it's just kind of nuts to me that they're upgrading the shocks as well to air suspension instead of spring suspension, which is really nice. This is not for, it's about 80 millimeters of travel, by the way. This is not really for off-road use, just to throw that out there. Can you go on some light trails? Sure, like if I want to go on stuff like this, yeah, man, no problem at all. If I want to go through some grass, like that's not going to be a problem. Big bumps, jumps, stuff like that, that's not what this bike is geared for. This is, again, just to reiterate, this is definitely a city bike. And in that context of a city bike, this suspension does a really, really nice job of just making it for a pretty smooth ride, especially for those bigger potholes. If you're hopping off a curb, whatever, it really makes it just kind of takes the bump out of the bump, you know what I'm saying? The wire wrap, well guys, I'm going to say the wire wrap here, there's a fantastic job. I mean, I did it myself. I think it looks pretty nice. But again, just want to reiterate here, you do have to wrap these wires yourself. It does not come wrapped. So if you don't want to wrap them, you don't have to. If you do want to wrap them, it comes with this little plastic sheath. You just wrap it around, coil it over the wires here, and they all stick together like that. The wires do go into the bike. They are internally routed for the most part. So they go in the down tube here. They're going to spit out at the bottom bracket right there. And then they're going to continue on to the motor right back there. Also, actually, I forgot to mention this. The battery here, it is locking and removable. So you can charge the battery separate from the bike if you want. But a small detail, but I really like it. So typically, you know, these batteries for these e-bikes and stuff, right, they're going to have these rubber grommets that protect the inlet. 9 times out of 10, these rubber grommets do not stay in place when you're riding. They don't click back in. This one does a really good job. It's got a little, I'm trying to show you on the back side here, it's got this little pin. You see it? This little like nub right there. And it goes right into that hole, and it's nice and just like sticks right there. It does not come undone while you're while you're riding, which is great. Coming back here to this torque sensor, this front chainring, it does have a chainring guard right here, which is kind of a nice little piece of equipment. It's going to help protect the actual front chainring in the event of a strike, which you really shouldn't get on a city bike. You shouldn't be striking the chainring on anything, but if you do, it's an extra layer of protection. It's also going to help prevent this chain from derailing towards the outside. Now, there's not a guide on the inside, so as far as derailments go, it's not going to help protect against that, but towards the outside, yeah, you do have that, which is a nice little piece of gear. On the back of the saddle, there are some rubber bumpers, again, to help just for a little bit of suspension while you're in the saddle, of course. Not a lot, just it helps a little bit, you know, just helps smooth it out just a little bit more. If you really want to make it a nicer ride while you're in the saddle, I would definitely recommend getting a seat post suspension. I think that would be a really nice addition for this bike since it does have that front suspension already. So yeah, up to you guys, you know, whatever, kind of however you want to ride this thing. It also is a quick release for the saddle here, so you can adjust the height of that. Oh, right, colors. So this does come in 2 colors. It's this kind of like tan right here. And then I can't recall the other color. I'm sorry, guys. I think it's like a burnt orange. I'm going to show you a picture of the other color right here. But it does come in 2 colors, and it does come in 2 frame styles as well. We've got this step over style, which is a traditional frame. And it also comes in a step through version. I'll show you a picture of that right here as well. And the step through version is really the same exact specs of this, just a different frame. So if you want this bike, but you want it to be more approachable, if you want to be able to put your feet flat on the ground while you're while you're at a stop, the step-through version is probably going to be the one for you. Does have bosses already pre-drilled here for a water bottle or an accessory, whatever you want right there on the frame. It's also got pre-drilled bosses right here in the back if you want to add a rack or if you want to add fenders. More bosses right there. Really, this bike is set up to accessorize, you know, after the fact if you want to. More bosses over here. So plenty of options here to add to this if you want to, you know, after you get it. For the display is, as far as how easy it is to see, it's really easy to see this display in direct sunlight. It's a Ride1Up branded display. My only complaint about this display, you can probably see it, it's just kind of canted, and that's because of the clasp that secures the display to the handlebars here. So that would be something, that's probably the only kind of critique I really have of this bike, is just, you know, let's fix that display, right? Let's make that nice and level, make it look pretty, because otherwise this bike is practically perfect, right? So for the display itself, long press of the power button to turn it on. Throttle here on the left. By the way, the throttle is live from 0 miles per hour. I don't want to hit it, but it is live from 0 miles per hour. Over here we got the current watts that you're spitting out, so you can see in real time how much wattage you're pulling from the motor, which is kind of nice. Current speed, battery level, odometer right here on the left, pedal assist level, and then your tripometer. If you tap the power button, it's going to go to max speed, 28.2, average speed, 11.2, time has been on, 16 minutes, and then back to the odometer. And then there are technically 4 levels of pedal assist: 0, which is off, 1, 2, and 3, and then long press to turn it off, and that's pretty much it. You'll notice that there's no headlights on this, there's no illumination, there's no tail lights, so if you do want to ride this thing in low light or no light conditions, I probably would recommend getting something to help increase visibility just for your own safety, because there's just no lights on this. So something to keep in mind if you do plan on riding this at night. But awesome peeps, I think that's it here for the Ride1Up Limited. Just want to say one last time before we take this out for a ride, this is a fantastic value buy for $17.95. There's so many upgraded components. It's really interesting, really surprising to see. Very happy about it, very pleased with it, and I'm just excited to be able to share this one with you. So look, we have reviewed this now. Time to take this out for a ride. Here we go.
The world's been waiting, where were you? Everything you want, waiting for you. All that's left to do is left to you. The world is waiting, where are you? Looking for a sign, we can't find you. Buried in the sands of passing time, with racing thoughts running through my mind. I see my future in black and white, all of my colors fading over time. Oh, shake me away.
All right, awesome peeps. That is it for the review of the Ride1Up limited city bike, electric bike right here. In summary, again, this thing starts for $1,795 USD, $1,795 USD. It is creeping into that mid-tier price point. It is not really that affordable, but it is packed with value like we talked about in the review. There's just so much in this bike, and for the price of $1,795, even though it's not very cheap, there's just a lot in this bike to appreciate. Some of our favorite features of this bike is going to be this MX-US hub motor right here, that 750 watt geared hub motor. It's an interesting change, an interesting departure from the Bafang motors that we're so used to reviewing. This one just feels completely different, and it's very well tuned, like we talked about, for that city riding with that easy roll on of power. This is not a super punchy 750 watt motor. It's a nice, smooth, gradual 750 watts of power, and that's great for a city bike because it helps to extend that range. You know, again, back to that battery, the 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery, you're going to get around 45 miles of range. And for a commuter, a city bike, that is a really good deal. It's kind of exactly what you're looking for. Also, really do appreciate the RST air suspension. Nice touch. Shimano Alivio derailleur, the Tektro Auriga hydraulic disc brakes. Look, there's just so much about this bike. I don't want to go over all the specs again, but the reality is that almost all of these specs are really far and above what we would expect for a bike at this price point. Oh, we can't forget, of course, the torque sensor. I mean, that's crazy, right? So we've got all of these specs for $1,795. Honestly, I'm not really sure how Ride1Up is doing that, because this is definitely a fierce competition bike. Like, it's providing a lot of fierce competition to the competitors at this price point. So I don't know, but look, this is going to be a good choice really for people who are looking for a commuter, really for a city bike. Can you take this on trails with the Schwalbe tires here and with that suspension? I mean, you can take this on light trails, absolutely. A little bit of dirt, just some small stuff. This is not really an off-road bike though, and if that's what you're looking for, you probably should find something else. But if you plan on riding mostly on the pavement, mostly through the city, it's going to be hard to find something else kind of like this bike. If you like this style, then it's kind of a no-brainer, because the specs for the price is just, it's a little absurd, honestly. So look, awesome peeps. That's it for this review. I hope you guys dug this review. I hope you're having just an awesome day. It's beautiful out here today. The smoke's pretty much gone. We had a couple more fires starting here in California, but overall things are looking up, man. It looks nice here, at least. I hope you guys are well wherever you're at. If you're on the West Coast, hopefully you're clear from the fires and safe from that. You know, we got kind of some uptick in COVID cases. I don't know if you guys are following that or into that at all, but, you know, I hope you guys are safe and well and healthy and stuff. So, yeah, just kind of send you guys positive vibes and everything. So, look, again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you're having an awesome day, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.